Coming up on This Week in Baseball, the Giants win early and often with a 3-4 combination that packs a mean 1-2 punch. Playing ball with the Soviets.
Number 55, Alexander Dundig, pitcher.
Bright good.
And our Hall of Fame series recalls the one and only Roberto Clemente. So stay tuned for legends, laughs, and Soviet rookies. Coming right up on This Week in Baseball. Sponsored.
Clark hits it high and deep to right field. And this baby is gone. Way back up into the seats. A 3-run blast for Will Clark.
When the fans react and they, we need 2 runs or we need a double, we need a home run, Will would seem to rise to the occasion and do this for us.
You will see Mitchell hit a lot of home runs in the left field. Rarely will you see him go the opposite way.
He hit the weights pretty hard in the offseason, and he's much stronger up at the plate, and you can see the ball jumping off his bat. And he's not a little guy to start off with. He possesses a lot of power, and so, in his own right, he's definitely a feared hitter.
By all rights, Kevin Mitchell and Will Clark packed plenty of punch in the heart of the Giants' order. As for Clark, nothing unexpected about his power, which in the last 2 seasons has produced 64 homers and 200 RBIs. Credit Kevin Mitchell with steadily increasing power numbers, too, especially since taking over the cleanup spot last July. This season, in his first 15 games, Mitchell sparked the first-place Giants with 5 homers and a league-leading 19 RBIs.
We just go up to the on-deck circle. We talk about the pitcher. We talk about his patterns, how he's going to throw myself, and then also how he's going to throw Kevin. And basically what we try to do is we try to make him pay.
I kind of watch the pitcher, how he pitches well, So we both, we basically power hitters, good power hitters. And I think that he's going to pitch the same way as he pitched Will. He's going to pitch me, If he throws him a lot of breaking ball, I go up to the plate and I look for the same thing.
Eyeing some pretty potent numbers, the Giants' 3-4 combo is packing the meanest 1-2 punch around.
I was born in Holland. I came over when I was 5. My parents were born and raised in Holland. They came over here to give us a better chance in life. I'm playing a game that I love. I'm getting paid financially outstanding for it, and I've never looked at any time I walk out on that mound as a pressure situation. I've looked at it as a challenge, and I think with my determination and my consistency, I'm usually going to come out ahead at the end.
Popped up off the third base side. Can Howell get to it? Jack is over there, and the ball game is over. And so Bert Blyleven gets that 56th career shutout.
And that tied Bob Gibson for 12th place for most shutouts ever. Bert's still a master of the pitch that brought him so much success.
I was really always self-taught with my curveball. In high school, I had a big roundhouse curveball, kind of one that went this way. And then we worked on something in high school we called a drop. Get on top a little more and make the ball go this. And as soon as I started throwing it, I was able to throw it for strikes, and it broke big and quick. And the biggest thing about my curveball is the tightness of the rotation. You can't see the spin. Sometimes you can see a curveball where it's an open spin, where my spin is like a fastball, and it just kind of like drops off the table. But it's just something that I was blessed with, but I worked my tail end off to get it to where I can throw it for strikes.
The hard work paid off early. Soon after breaking in with the Twins, Blyleven won 20 games. Then with Texas, he pitched a no-hitter. Next came Pittsburgh, a pennant-clinching win and clutch relief in the '79 World Series.
I was part of the actual turnaround. We were down 3-1, and Jim Rooker started the game number 5. and he pitched 5 outstanding innings, and we were down 1-0, and then I came out of the bullpen and pitched 4 shutout innings, and we ended up winning 7-1, which in turn allowed us to play Games 6 and 7, which we ended up winning the World Series.
2 years later, Blyleven went to Cleveland, where he had his best season, going 19-7, yet lost out on the Cy Young Award to reliever Willie Hernandez.
I should have won it that year. I've always believed that the Cy Young should be a starting pitcher, and the Fireman of the Year is a reliever. We as starters don't get a chance at the fireman, and the relievers shouldn't have a chance at the Cy Young. Cy Young was a starter. He was a guy that pitched 7,000 innings, had over 500 wins. Relievers can't do that.
In 1985, Blyleven hit the road again, this time to Minnesota, where he helped turn the Twins into world champions. He also turned in his 3,000th strikeout, one of only 10 pitchers ever to reach that mark. Now, in his 20th season, and back home in California, he reflects on a still thriving career.
Hopefully I will be remembered as a great competitor, one that wants to win every time out. That's what I want to remember at. And I would like to go out being brought up in Southern California. I'd love to be able to be on a ball club that brings Mr. Autry a pennant and makes him, you know, have that World Series ring for the first time. That would be exciting to me.
Time now for this week's quiz, brought to you by today's Chevy truck. Bert Blyleven's recent shutout came at the age of 38. Can you name the oldest pitcher ever to throw a shutout? Fans in our Hall of Fame series, let's turn back to Roberto Clemente, the peerless outfielder of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
From day one that I saw Roberto in person, I was just completely impressed, because there was nothing about baseball that he couldn't do and do exceptionally well. And what amazed me is that he worked so hard day in and day out. And a lot of people just clearly misunderstood him, because he was very consistent. He never backed away from a challenge. And when things got tough, that's when he got tougher.
Well, Roberto was unique, clearly as a great athlete, but also as a human being, and a leader by example and by emotion. His feelings and commitments were way beyond the paycheck. They were to the Pirates, to the fans of Pittsburgh, and to our family and to the organization.
Batting third, playing right field, number 21, Roberto Clemente.
In 1955, Clemente arrived in Pittsburgh after just 1 year in the minors. For the young Puerto Rican star, coming to the majors meant coping with a language and culture much different from his own. But there was no question Clemente was here to stay. In 1960, the Pirates became world champs. Clemente, their best player. That year and for the next 7 seasons, he hit 300 or better and became the first right-handed batter since Rogers Hornsby to win 4 hitting titles. But most outstanding was Clemente's fielding. Produced 12 straight Gold Gloves.
Roberto Clemente was as good a right fielder as Willie Mays was a good a center fielder. He didn't hit the home runs that Aaron did, but he hit with the average and did a lot of things that Aaron couldn't do. But I wouldn't say Aaron was better, I wouldn't say Mays was better, and I wouldn't say Clemente was better. I say they were in the same category.
I remember his season in '66 because, if I recall, Harry Walker being the manager, Harry asked him in the beginning of the season, can you give me a little more power? Because Clemente was mostly a line drive hitter and a tremendous hitter. He asked him for more power, and he responded by hitting more home runs and driving in more runs than he'd ever done, which told me, wait a minute, this is scary now. This guy can do what he wants to do.
It's a high fly into deep right center. Minnesota's way back. That one's going, and it is gone.
That all-star home run displayed just one aspect of Clemente's game.
And there's a well-hit ball, right center, falling pretty fast out there. However, it is caught by Clemente with a tremendous running, sliding catch.
For 9 years while I was around, he was the best baseball player I saw. Clemente was something else. And to do that all inside a 37-year-old body at the end that still looked like he's 23. He was born to play baseball. He's a baseball animal, baseball machine.
In 1971, at the age of 37, Clemente led the Pirates to a second world championship. In the series, he hit .414 and played to a level of near perfection, proving his greatness once and for all.
Long chase for Clemente. Gallops over, grabs it, whirls. Here's Retman coming to throw. What a throw! He just beat it in.
The cameras was on him, and he got a chance to show the entire world, you know, what a truly all-around ball player. He was giving us that incentive, you know, we can do it. I won't talk about it, I'll show it. And this is what this man was doing. And it made me feel so good to be on the same team with a person with that much determination.
Clemente was determined to enter the record books on September 30th, 1972, and he succeeded, collecting hit number 3,000. Of course, no one knew it then, but that hit would be Clemente's last. 3 months later, taking supplies to victims of Nicaragua's earthquake, his plane crashed into the sea. The baseball world responded right after by inducting Clemente into the Hall of Fame, a player the game still mourns.
He stood a little taller than most men. He shined a little brighter. He felt that playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, he worked very hard at it so that he could be as good as anyone who plays or who have played the game. He was a giver. He spent an awful lot of time talking about the game, but more importantly, he would take time out to show you how the game was played. He passed the baton on to me. He taught me the formula for winning. Things like that, I will forever be grateful to Roberto Clemente.
Baseball lost another Hall of Famer when umpire Jocko Conlon died at the age of 89. The feisty umpire who worked 24 years in the National League never backed down from anyone, even from the likes of the still feistier Billy Martin.
I don't fool around with anybody. I said, I'll listen to their argument. If it's a rule, I'll be happy to answer it. But if they're going to tell 30,000 people that I'm wrong with their gestures and carrying on and language, I don't need them. I'll be glad to listen to you, Billy. You get out of line, I'll unload you. He says, I know. Casey told me. I never had a word with Billy Martin.
From critics and peers alike, Conlon earned universal respect.
Bill Clem, who broke me in, who was the greatest umpire of us all, he paid me the biggest compliment anybody, and coming from an umpire who broke in, he said I could have umpired single-handed in the old days.
Few called him any better than Jocko Conlon. Now, let's open the notebook from This Week in Baseball's Twib Notes from around the majors. Toronto's Kelly Gruber turned in a perfect day against Kansas City. First time up, the red-hot hitter cracked a home run, starting the Blue Jays off on a comeback. Next, Gruber keyed a rally with a two-run double. He followed that with his third extra base hit, a triple. And then, with Toronto well ahead, Gruber pulled off a Blue Jay first.
He's a single away from hitting for the cycle. That could be the single. Here comes Eisenreich charging, but he won't get there. Another Toronto run scores. Gruber has hit for the cycle, and the Blue Jays lead 13-8.
Give Gruber 6 RBIs and put Kent Tekulve in the record books again. He already owns the National League mark for most relief appearances, but against the Dodgers, Tekulve broke Hoyt Wilhelm's Major League record by appearing in his 1,019th game. Nothing but spit and polish from Met shortstop Kevin Elster, who ran his streak of consecutive games without an error to 73, breaking the old Major League mark set in 1972 by Tiger shortstop Eddie Brinkman.
Towards the end of the streak, I start thinking about it a little bit more, and I start thinking, you know, don't make any stupid errors, you know, don't throw the ball away. And, you know, when it ends, I'll be happy when it ends on a regular error. You know, I don't want to pick the ball up and throw it in the stands or something like that.
By the way, Elster's last error came last year in Cincinnati, July 19th. Now for the answer to this week's quiz, brought to you by today's Chevy truck. Phil Niekro is the oldest pitcher ever to throw a shutout. He was 46 and a half when he blanked the Blue Jays for win number 300. Welcome to the University of Maryland, home of the baseball-playing Terrapins, better known as the Terps.
Hey, you got a good pitch. Right there's a good pitch.
All this may sound familiar, but on this day at the ballpark, some sounds did not. This was no ordinary college ball game. Enter the Soviet national baseball team on a 3-week tour of American colleges. They're here to learn the game and get ready for the '92 Olympics.
Just that little bit of time or whatever they can get with a coach or a player from another team, they're able to learn from that because they don't have these facilities in the Soviet Union. They don't have the time, and they haven't really had the commitment to the program to have the instruction that they're getting here. This is why they're here, for an instructional tour.
Because the more seams you got, the more rotation you have, the more bite you have with the ball. Yeah, we go all seams. One, fastball.
Один фастбол, один.
One. That's curveball. Two's curveball.
Throwing the ball across the seams, which is just making the ball really straight. You want to throw the ball with the seams in order to get the ball to tail.
Since baseball is considerably new to young Soviet athletes, these first-time players have been borrowed from other sports, many of which are altogether different, of course.
Some Soviet baseball players are former javelin throwers, handball players. One of them is judo, a master of judo, and difference.
We can't. Hunting.
For some, making the switch to baseball is problematic. Charlie Bree, Maryland's assistant coach, went to the Soviet Union and remembers one such player.
The individual was a javelin thrower. He threw in 3 2/3 innings, 325 pitches. I know that because I was clicking him off. I said, you've got to get this guy out of there. And all of a sudden, he threw one pitch, and I saw him start to massage and rotate that shoulder, and I said, I'm going to tell you, get him out of there right now. They know no pain.
All this may be new to the Soviets, but not so new that they haven't come up with a favorite major leaguer to emulate.
My like player, Vince Coleman. Vince Coleman.
New York Mets, Mookie Wilson.
Gary Carter. Mookie Wilson, Keith Hernandez, Daryl Strom, Gary Carter. Dwight Gooden.
Even if there are no Dwight Goodens among the Soviet players yet, this will certainly be a visit for them to remember. And despite losing big in their first 7 games on the tour, including an 11-1 romp by Maryland, it didn't seem to diminish the Soviets' enthusiasm for a sport that could someday become a popular pastime in the Soviet Union. For now, anyway, their goal is 1992, when the two countries may meet again. Back in the majors, Bobby Bonilla was having a mighty rough night on the job. Seems the Expos were coming at him from every direction.
Watch this. The bat, the ball, and Garcia arrive at third base at the same time. That's weird.
The congestion was bad, but Tim Wallach standing at the plate proved once again to be a whole lot worse.
Now, Bobby Bonilla has just taken his 7th error of the season, and that's the 4th time that he has erred on a ball hit to him by Tim Wallach. Isn't that unbelievable?
Hey, mister, still dreaming about that bit? I can't string you along anymore. We're on to the A's, upside down or no. A is for Atlanta. It's also for all right, awkward, and altogether absurd. Well, I suppose acting outlandish is acceptable in this act. Now for one last act of folly, Soviet style. Time now for our Player of the Week, brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. What a start for Rick Sutcliffe of the Chicago Cubs. Sutcliffe capped off the Cubs' recent 7-game winning streak by beating the Phillies for his 3rd straight win. Also, Rick was ever so slick with the stick, driving in a pair of runs and lifting his average to an even 500. A real good hitting pitcher. Recently, we featured Seattle pitcher Mark Langston in Semantics with clubhouse attendant Pete Fortune. Our intent was to have some fun. In no way did we mean to suggest that anyone try similar stunts with home appliances, which should always be used with extreme caution. It may look real, but that's the magic of television.
Who'll become $50,000 richer tonight at 7:30? One lucky contestant on the Michigan Lottery Game Show Fame and Fortune. Don't miss the excitement. Now get ready because the Tigers are about to roar into action against the Milwaukee Brewers. Get the inside story from Bernie Smilovitz on the Tiger pregame. It's all coming up next, only on Channel 4.